are simply based on the standards of beauty that different, okay, who else is here? Who is this? That different societies have, okay? A standard of beauty, a beauty standard. So let's start off by defining, that's an interesting picture. Let's start off by defining beauty standards. What are beauty standards? Can you hear me? Hello? Am I still on your screen? What are beauty standards, people? Talk to me.
In some
Nobody
way,
knows? Okay, go ahead.
in some way, they are like rules that if someone are like if someone cumplir the rules, I don't know how to say it, but are like things or characteristics that if someone has them, then it's considered a beautiful person in the physical way.
Okay. Why is it so important to be beautiful? Give me a second. I'm texting some people who should be here. Why is it so important to be beautiful, people?
Because some people treat you differently if you're beautiful or if you're ugly. Some people judge you based on that.
Okay. So you get judged or rejected based on your physical beauty. Is that what you're saying? Yes, everybody agrees? So a lot of times what we think is people being prejudiced or probably racist is more like people looking at you and noticing that you don't comply with their beauty standards. Is that possible? Yes? Okay. So what are the beauty standards here in Panama? What are beauty standards here? Do we have any beauty standards here in Panama? No? We don't have beauty standards. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
What are the beauty standards? Come on, people, wake up. It's 10 o'clock.
I have heard.
What? Yes.
I have heard like long silky hair.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have long silky hair. That's one of those.
Okay. What else? Other than long silky hair, what's another common beauty standard here in Panama?
Having a little waist.
Oh,
big,
having a tiny waist. Okay, yeah, I've heard of that.
big booty and
Okay. So tell me something. Do the beauty standards, particularly here in Panama, only apply to women or do they apply to men also?
They also apply to men.
Mm. So what are some beauty standards for men?
Like having like the abs and
Oh, the six pack. The six pack.
Yeah, that. The six pack and
the
going to the gym and those things that.
Yeah, being like muscular and buff.
Yeah, I honestly don't think they're necessary.
Yeah. So who do you think gets more pressure according to these ridiculous beauty standards? Do you think that girls or women get more pressure than boys, or is it equal?
I
Girl.
think it's
Okay,
equal, but it's
Marisa
not
says
fair.
girls. Who was talking?
I think, I mean, I
Yes.
think it's equal, but it's not fair. Because if you're a woman, you have some options, like if you put on makeup, they do some surgeries on stuff like that, you know. But and they can also use heels if they're really small. That's another standard for men, being tall. Women
Yes.
like tall men. And so if you're a woman and you're short, you can use high heels. But if you're a man, you can't do that. And also, if you're born ugly, you can't use makeup or do anything about that. You're just ugly. That's it.
Yes. Okay, you know, now that you mentioned that, last night I watched the weirdest movie on Disney Plus. It was about this woman who was tall and she fell in love with this guy, and the guy was so short, he was like here to her chest. It was so weird. Go find that movie if you have Disney Plus. It's called Corazón de León. It's an Argentinian movie. And you know, she was so in love with this guy, and everybody was like, "Es un enano, ¿qué te pasa? Es un enano." Everything was so weird. Anyway, the movie is very predictable, but you should go watch it because it made me think about how we as adults, not you kids so much, because we're the ones that are teaching you this nonsense, are so prejudiced. What if it's nobody's business if she was a tall girl and she wanted a short man? That's nobody's business. But everybody is always like, oh no, he's too fat for you. Oh, he's too dark for you. She's too tall for you. That's nobody's business. Okay, so people, what we're gonna do in this class before we continue our discussion is that we're gonna watch a very short, it's not short, a very short video about beauty standards around the world. Now, this is some crazy stuff. As you watch it, I want you to find one that impressed you the most. Some of these you have heard before, but there's got to be at least one I'm hoping that you had never heard of before. I want you to be prepared to discuss what impressed you the most about that particular beauty standard. Because the thing that we need to conclude by the end of this class is that there has to be a way for us to escape this entire concept of having to look the way society expects you to look, okay? The whole thing about being pretty, being ugly, just be. I mean, enjoy your life. Okay, so let me set this up so that you can watch this video with me. It's called Beauty Standards Around the World. Okay. Okay, people, so talk to me about what we just saw. Who wants to tell me what's the culture that most impressed you with its really weird beauty standards? Which one impressed you most?
The one of the neck, the rings around your neck. I mean, I've heard about it before, but it makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't know why. It's weird.
Yeah.
I just can't explain it. I honestly don't think that's healthy. And the things that are like down here, I can't.
I know. You can imagine what the skin looks like, and you could actually see some scars. And imagine if you get an itch in your neck. How do you scratch your neck with all of that there? I mean, it was that was kind of weird. Yeah. Who else wants to tell me? Which was the one that impressed you the most and why?
Me, Japan.
Okay. Like the teeth?
Sorry, what?
Go ahead.
Okay, Japan, it's because that worried me the most because I feel it's based on something directly linked to children. I mean, they find the small and innocent attractive, and that's kind of sus. I mean, that's like pedo stuff, and that doesn't seem comfortable to me.
That's a little creepy.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the same thing. As an Asian myself, well, not completely, but I am. That's something I have seen since I'm like a child on the internet, like, and you know, the Asian music, like Korea and Japan and China. It's like really weird. They Asian men like girls that, you know, don't up for them, like don't. and makeup, and they like big eyes, and it's just really pretty. I think it has to be a lot to be with the anime culture, because they like to, no, it's very sexualization and those things. And women in Asian industry, and you know, the singer, dancer, they like to resemble a lot to those drugs, those, you know, anime things.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point, because notice that most of these weird beauty standards have to do with women wanting to get men to like them. And I have a problem with that. I have a problem with men wanting women to look like little kids. I have a problem with that. And I also have a problem with women doing all these ridiculous things because it's what men find attractive. I mean, wow, we're in the 21st century. When is this going to stop, right? That's what I find the most.
The thing like with the teeth, they like crooked teeth. It's weird because they like that because it resembles to a little kid's teeth. They like that. That's the weird thing. And the other weird thing is the thing like with the pale skin. They will put like mercury in their skin just to look pale. That's just crazy because it's not healthy.
Yeah, and they're not the only ones obsessed with the pale skin.
Yeah.
In many different cultures, including Africans, including Indians, people from India, they have this thing that you have to have pale skin. And so they do all kinds of weird processes to get the pale skin, which is also kind of ridiculous, but humans. Okay, one more person. Thank you, Isabella and Janice. Great stuff. And Diane, one more person. Which is the one that impressed you the most and why?
Me. I think the one that impressed me the most is the one from New Guinea. You say it like that?
Papua New Guinea.
Yeah. Like you have to have, the more scars you have, like the more strong you are, the more like that. And I was like, it's kind of, they don't look at the physical, they look more at the scars. Like if it represents what they have like inside, like if they're strong, more scars they have. And if they have different type of scars, they are older or younger. And it's different, I know. It surprised me a little bit. I saw that like in a movie, but in another way. And yeah, I think that was the one, because they put like scars represents people.
Yeah. Did you see the tear running down the guy's face when they were scarring him? It's gotta hurt, but it's their standard of beauty. Okay, so what age groups do you think are affected most by these ideas of a beauty standard? What age group? Do you think it's mostly kids, mostly adults? We already say that it affects men and women the same, probably a little more to women, but what age groups?
I probably think that it affects kids because, like, one where I don't know what culture it was, like, kind of forgot. The one where they like eat and eat so they can be fat because they want to be.
Yeah, that was Mauritania.
Yeah, there was like little kids like facing just, you know, stuffing their mouths with rice just to be fat. It's like really unhealthy. And kids just like, you need to wear makeup, you want to pierce your ears so you can have like earrings and whatever. It's like,
yeah, so basically you don't get to decide any of these things, because if they're cutting you when you're a kid, if they're piercing your ears, if they're stuffing you with food when you're a kid, where is your power to decide? You don't have that. And then when you don't get the power to decide, what do? You do the same thing to your own kids. And that's exactly how society works, because think about it. After you were born, they decided everything for you. Your culture, your name, your religion, everything is decided for you. And you don't get that power. And so a lot of times we find parents trying really hard to force their kids to be something they're not, because they got their power taken away, so they're going to take away the power from their kids. So it's just like a cycle. Now, regarding these, you say that it affects kids most. Okay, who else has another opinion? Who do you think it affects most? Or is it like lifetime? The silent few. Sally, Brenda, you never talk unless I call you. Natalie, start talking. What do you think? Do you think it only affects kids? Does it only affect teenagers? Does it only affect adults, or is it a lifetime thing? I can't hear you, Mary.
I sorry. I say it increase as you get older.
It increases? Wow.
Yes, because for example, when we are like in the age of 15, 16, the same youngest people start to say like, oh, you todavía no te da el puberty hit, you don't have the puberty hit, and you are like fat, or you have many acne, those things that make you feel like uncomfortable, and you start like, I don't know, it's something like very hard, and maybe they are doing like with a joke, or like a joke, but sometimes people don't feel that, because they have like insecurities, and that increase the insecurity about themselves.
Yeah. So I'm 51. Do you think it still affects me? Well, not me, but people my age.
I think it affects the people. Doesn't in general, it doesn't matter the age, because there will always be people commenting and saying things. So that's what I think. It doesn't matter the age. It will somehow affect you.
So I go out every morning to walk, right? And now that exercising is a thing, but I've been walking for like 20 years. So I go out every morning to walk. And one thing that I've started noticing is that after the pandemic, when everybody decided to exercise, these women are going out to exercise with makeup, like full makeup, and smelling like flowers. I smell like my bed. They're smelling like flowers and fruit and full makeup. And they're sweating, and they're like, I'm like, really? So where is this coming from? I mean, why would we think that even if you're walking, you have to have a certain look? Even if you're exercising, you have to have a certain look. So what are you exercising for? So one day, so it's usually the same people, we pass each other, right? So sometimes we just wave at each other because we've seen each other so much. We just wave. I don't know who these people are, but you wave. Anyway, so one day, a younger woman who's probably like 30, she passes me every day and she waves. And then one day she stopped and she said, Nunca se te ha ocurrido trotar? Because I walk, right? Everybody's like, and I'm walking. So I'm like, no, why would I want to start walking at this age? And she's like, what age? I'm like, I'm 51. She's like, oh, you don't look 51. Oh, okay. But what really got me was the fact that she thought I was being weird, because all of them are like running, and you see the baba coming out, because there's this huge hill right next to my house. It's like a crazy hill. And you can see their bodies not for it, but they're going to run. And she could not understand why I would decide to walk up and down the hill. I'm not going to run. And it all has to do with this whole standard, not only beauty, but this pressure that we put on each other, that we all have to do the same thing. So I was the weirdo, probably still am, because I'm still walking, and she started walking too. Mm-hmm. So this pressure, it never stops. You're always going to find somebody trying to make you be more like them. Always. Okay, so the next question is, and the silent few, Sally and Brenda and the others, Layali, Amir. Hello, Amir. You've been dancing. You're not even paying attention. You're dancing. Okay, people, what can we do at any age to not get carried away by all these ridiculous beauty standards? What can we do? Let's start with Sally and Brenda. And Mandisa's extremely
Well,
quiet today. So you're next too. Go ahead, Sally.
I think that you don't have to pay attention to anyone. Just live your life, and if one day you want to fix yourself, you have to do it because you want, not because people tell you or by the comments of others, you know?
Yeah, Sally, that's really great stuff you're saying, but that's not easy to do. How do we get there? Genesis has been silent too, and there's a girl who disappeared. Wait, I don't see her on my screen. Where is she? Oh my goodness, this girl disappeared. Anyway, it's really, that's great advice, Sally, but it's hard. The rest of you, talk to me. How do you keep from being affected by this pressure to be like everybody else? Because that's what beauty standards are. It's just a pressure for you to look and act like everybody else.
Maybe try to work with your self-esteem and don't care about what others say.
Yeah. Who else?
I think that some people or some girls are not, o sea, no están conformes.
They're not happy.
They're not happy, like
satisfied.
The way they are, her face, that hey, they have imperfections, and they decide to use makeup and like to esconder,
hide
the way they are. So I agree about what says Sally, that sometimes we need to like don't pay attention about what the people say. It's obviously that is hard, but we need to try. Thank you.
Yeah. The thing is that once you start looking at yourself in the mirror and you don't like what you see, it's because you're comparing yourself to somebody else. Okay, so the issue is always that comparison. And that's where you need to go. And this is something you need to teach your sisters, brothers, cousins, and future kids from the time they're little babies. That this is not about comparing yourself to other people. Everybody's gonna be different. Everybody doesn't have to look the same. You gotta love what you are, what you look like, whatever you look like. If you wanna wear makeup, fine, but you're not gonna wear makeup because you wanna look like somebody else. You're gonna wear makeup because it makes you happy. There's a huge difference. Now, another thing that was mentioned, and this goes specifically targeting Amir and Genesis. Answer this question. Another thing that was mentioned is that some of these beauty standards were a symbol of being rich. So for instance, in Pakistan, where they mentioned that people would just put on a tape on their nose so that you would think that they were rich because they had plastic surgery. So what do you think of this? I mean, how can you avoid falling into this trap of wanting to look rich?
I think because they think that with that social status, they will reach more men or will have more access to llamar la atención.
To call people's attention?
Call people's attention to see that they are rich, and because they see that they are rich, they automatically think that they are beautiful. I think that.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, so does being rich actually make you superior to other people? And you're gonna say no, but we still act like it. Genesis, talk to me.
I think they do this because just like Amir said, it's like probably they just do it to fit in society standard, and I think people find like if you are, the more richer you are, probably like the more pretty you are, and that's why they fake.
But there are a whole bunch of rich, ugly people, you know. They're rich and they're ugly, so. But yeah, that's the way people see it, and it's actually kind of sad because if we look at social media, we have a lot of people trying to look pretty and trying to look rich. You know, why? What's the point in that? Once I was talking to a teenage girl, like probably 5 years ago, and she told me that she would sometimes upload a picture, and if she didn't get a certain amount of likes, she would take it down. And she thought that was normal. And I'm like, that's not normal. And she thought I was crazy for thinking that was not normal. It's not normal. We find that a lot of people are just living their lives to impress other people. I mean, the only person you got to impress is yourself. You don't need to impress anybody else. Okay, so there are specific steps that you can take to not fall into this rabbit hole of trying to look like other people or act like other people or trying to make people think something or the other. What are some specific steps? Let's go with 3 steps. What do you think would be step 1? Anybody? Somebody who hasn't spoken yet. Wait, there's got Natalie. If you don't want to get caught up in this whole I need to look like everybody else and act like everybody else thing, what do you think would be the first step to not get caught up in that?
I'm still trying to understand your question.
My question is, let's give ourselves some great advice. 2 or 3 steps to not become part of the crazy system that wants us to look like everybody else and act like everybody else. What would be the first step, the first advice you would give somebody? What do you think is the basic, most important advice?
I don't know. I think we should be like ourselves.
Okay, what does that mean, though? What does that mean? Be yourself. What does that mean?
Like to do what we want. It doesn't matter if someone is going to like that I brush my hair in some way, or if I wear some different clothes. It doesn't matter that. It matters what I really like. So I really, in my case, I really don't care other people's opinion. I don't pay attention to what other people say. So I prefer to be myself, to do things that I want, to things that I like, things that I feel comfortable with me. I don't need to make other people comfortable.
I like that. I like that. You don't have to make other people comfortable. That's a good one. I really like that. Now, people, that's step 1. Just get comfortable with yourself. Now, let's link this before we go to step 2. Anybody can get this step 2. Let's link this to the story that we've been reading. Between Hassan and Amir, which one would you think is happiest? Who's happier, Hassan or Amir?
Hassan is more happier.
Why? Mandisa, you haven't spoken. Why do you think Hassan is happier than Amir?
Well, I think...
Is Hassan happier than Amir? That's the question. I can't hear you.
Happier than Amir, because for me, poor people sometimes may not get the why and the understanding about stereotypes. But medium people and rich people do know and understand what are stereotypes. And by knowing this, I think they are affected more than, regular people.
But Amir, Hassan's happiness had nothing to do with him being poor. What was?
No, I mean, I was talking about the knowledge that they had. Amir had it all, and education, and and Hassan didn't have a lot of things like that. So if Hassan, if you don't have a well-educated mind, you will not understand something. But if you do have an educated mind, you will understand things. So what I'm trying to say that Hassan is happy because he doesn't understand those kind of words, but Amir does.
Okay.
That's why I was.
Yeah. So what would be a good step 2 to follow Natalie's step 1? What would be a good step 2? Do you think, for instance, because I'm going to push you towards step 2, Do you think, for instance, that the people that surround you have an impact on whether you fall into this beauty standard pressure or not? Do you think the people that surround you have an impact on that?
Yes, I was going to say that the way to not get affected by these stereotypes, it was to change your friends.
Yeah.
Or, you know, be around people that know what you're thinking and they know what you're thinking, and at the same time they will know that you don't like those stereotypes, and you will know what stereotypes they don't like, and you can be vibey and happy. Because if you stick with people like always thinking, I did my hair, my nails, my eyebrows, you will get sick of it, and
you will get frustrated.
Frustrated, and your other thing will get worse.
Okay, so let me ask you one last question. So that could be a step 2, you know, find better friends. But what if the people criticizing you are your family? You know, you got a grandma who's telling you, ay, mijita, no salga del sol, usted está muy oscura. Or telling you, ay, mijito, usted está muy gorda, ya no coma más. What if that's your grandma? What do? You can't just say, okay, stop being my grandma. So how do you act in those circumstances?
And speak up for yourself. Say,
Speak
okay,
up
I
for
know
yourself. So you say like, cállate abuela, is that what you mean?
No. I mean, speak up for yourself, because when I'm saying this, it's saying, okay, I know you're worried because maybe you think I will not get married someday because I don't have the stereotypes that you have in your mind. But abuela, hey, trust in your nieta. I will get a man, okay? I will get a man.
Okay, Sally, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I want to say that maybe you have to stop that, you know? Maybe you can say like, I really talk with your family, with that people that always are saying things that make you feel bad, and talk with that person and say like, I really don't like that commentaries, please stop, and that's uncomfortable for me. So I think that's maybe can help.
Or if you can't stop them, at least just ignore them. Like abuela says like, ay, mijita, así con ese pelo nadie te va a querer. You tell her, ay, abuelita, oh, qué linda, and just walk away. You know, don't become a part of it, because you cannot allow everybody around you to try to tell you how to live your life. It's yours. It was given to you. So you're the ones calling the shots. Okay, people, do you have any questions? Module 4 is fun. Amit is getting married. And you know what the funniest thing is? What he finds the most attractive of his wife, have you gotten to that part? What's the most attractive thing that he likes from her? Her nose has a hook. And he's in love with the hook of the nose. Anyway, every cloth has its buyer. Thank you so much for showing up, people. See you next time. Bye-bye.